We all know the music of Billie Eilish. From her chart-topping hits to the intimate portraits of her personal struggles and triumphs, her lyrics have been blared from thousands of headphones and speakers around the globe. But have we ever truly delved into their depth?
Indeed, you're onto something, Evelyn. The appeal of Billie's music lies in its raw, unfiltered portrayal of life. She doesn't shy away from baring her soul, and that vulnerability is palpable in her words. It's more than music. It's her story, her emotions, her journey.
Exactly, Chris. And yet, while her bold and unconventional lyrical expression garners attention, the complexity of Billie's themes often goes unnoticed. Beneath the sleek production and Billie's haunting vocals lie layers of intricate narratives waiting to be unraveled.
The emotional resonances, the stark introspections, the starkly universal yet strikingly personal experiences, and the distinctive poetic elements in her lyrics. Isn't it fascinating how one artist's words can evoke such a variety of sensations in her listeners?
Absolutely, Evelyn. She reflects the collective angst and experiences of her audience, and her success is not just commercial, but also a critical acclaim. Her music, rooted in authenticity, has become a voice for the voiceless.
And that, my friends, is the foundation of this episode. It's about exploring Billie's lyrical narratives, their underpinnings, and their impact. It's about understanding why and how her music speaks to so many. Bad Guy. It's such an unconventional pop anthem, don't you think?
I couldn't agree more. They say good artists borrow, but great artists steal. What Billie's done here is steal from different genres and blend her own unique sound into something unclassifiable. It's intoxicating.
Absolutely. Bad Guy exemplifies Eilish's unique representation of power and vulnerability. Look at the opening lines. White shirt now red, my bloody nose. She's directly addressing the listener, painting a vivid image while implying a confrontation. Powerful stuff.
Then the chorus gets interesting with a switch in perspective. I'm that bad type, might seduce your dad type. Here's a young girl claiming her position in power dynamics. Isn't that fascinating?
Intriguing indeed. The lyrics leave convention behind, challenging traditional gender roles by embodying a character that is unapologetically assertive. Her audacity is nothing short of refreshing.
The haunting lilt of Eilish's voice is just a stark contrast to the lyrics' audacious attitude. You can feel vulnerability seep through every note while she dons the mask of the bad guy. It's a beautiful interplay. When the party's over, very different from Bad Guy, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's as if she's exploring the other end of the spectrum. The song's got this melancholic vibe that immerses you deeply. It's like you are in the shadows, alone after a chaotic party.
Speaking of being alone, I often found myself playing it after tough days, attempting to seek solace in the silence of my own company.
That makes sense after all. The lyrics perfectly encapsulate that feeling of isolation. Like when she sings, I could lie, say I like it like that. It's like she's in denial, pretending to be okay with solitude post-parting.
It sounds like a mask, doesn't it? One that some of us might put on too, especially in front of others after a breakup, trying to appear strong, when in reality, the inner self may still be healing.
It's not just breakups we can relate this to. It's parting from anything we hold dear. A place, a person, a dream, and the void it leaves behind.
Do you guys think the line, quiet when I'm coming home and I'm on my own, implies her observation on how society often misunderstands one's need for self-healing time as being standoffish or antisocial?
Interesting you should say that, Evelyn. I have wondered the same. Her lyrics often go beyond personal narrative, subtly questioning societal norms. Ocean Eyes, a track that's gentle on the surface but holds so much depth. It's a whole different entity, don't you think?
Yes. I can't help but feel a little melancholic whenever I listen to it. There's this sense of vulnerability and longing coursing through the lyrics that both disturbs and comforts you. Can't stop staring at those ocean eyes. So heart-wrenching.
It's hauntingly beautiful. Even the name Ocean Eyes brings an image of depth. Like looking into the deep ocean, it's an abyss that pulls you in. It's a spectral representation of a yearning, love-lost soul.
A nostalgic voyage into a past love. The way she delivers, "You really know how to make me cry when you give me those ocean eyes," captures this intimate pain with such accuracy. And the use of ocean eyes. It's like comparing a person's eyes to the vast, deep, and turbulent ocean, yet persuasive enough to pull you in.
Her depiction of a jilted lover is compelling, isn't it? But I have a question. Does the line, "no fair," has a second underlying meaning, or she's simply expressing the unfairness of falling out of love?
That's a tricky one. No fair in some way seems to reflect the defenselessness of the person in love, but it could also signify the injustice of being left heartbroken, with those unforgettable ocean eyes still lingering in the mind.
Or it could also mean that she was captivated by those ocean eyes, that alluring, and fell in love unfairly as if she had no choice or say in that. Unfortunately, we cannot ask her directly.
Jumping into Eilish's journey to fame, did you know she was only 14 when she co-wrote Ocean Eyes with Phineas?
You're kidding! Only 14? That's astounding, considering the maturity and complexity of the lyrics.
What's even more fascinating is they initially wrote the song for Phineas's band. Billie only recorded it when her dance teacher asked for a song for a choreography. It was uploaded on SoundCloud for convenience, not aspiring for fame.
Exactly, and it blew up overnight. Labeled as the new Lord, Eilish became an overnight sensation with just one song. From that intimate bedroom recording, she and her brother Phineas started their incredible journey.
As someone who regularly stumbles on SoundCloud, I find it interesting how Phineas and Billie controlled every aspect of their music, from songwriting to producing it in their childhood home.
That's right, Evelyn. And Billie and Phineas made sure to keep the raw authenticity of their music. Remember When the Party's Over? What's interesting is, the sound of a drill from a construction site leaked into the recording, but they decided to leave it.
It's these unique decisions that truly show how the duo consistently strived for authenticity. However, with Bad Guy, they took a completely different route, experimenting with synthetic beats, showcasing their creative versatility.
I can imagine many, including myself, bopping to Bad Guy's addicting beats. It's been a delight going through the trivia about Eilish's rise to stardom. It's evident that Billie embodies resoluteness and raw talent. So, let's talk about our personal experiences with Billie's music. I'll start. When the Party's Over really struck a chord with me. I remember playing it on repeat during my bar shifts. Its somber, haunting melody echoed my own feelings of loneliness and vulnerability during my challenging initial days in Seoul. It was a lyrical mirror that showed me I wasn't alone in my emotions.
That's really moving, Evelyn. Music has an uncanny ability to resonate with our deepest feelings. For me, Ocean Eyes held great significance. Having left Seoul at a young age and moved to New York, I found solace in the longing and nostalgia infused in the lyrics. It was like a comforting lament for my own sense of displacement, a reflection of my own journey across the ocean.
Isn't it fascinating how different songs become personal mementos for different events of our lives? Similar to you, Chris, Ocean Eyes meant a lot to me, but for completely different reasons. Such is the magic of Billie's poetic expressions. It accompanied me on my solitary runs during busy periods at Volt Motors. The melancholic tone was oddly calming, allowing me to momentarily slow down amidst the urban cacophony.
And that's one of the aspects of her music that most deeply connects with the Gen Z audience. She's honest, emotional, and unapologetic. For many, her stranglehold on grief and grappling with the many layers of trauma offers solace. In a way, her music opened up a conversation about mental health that was much needed within the music industry.
Unquestionably, her voice is a beacon of resilience for the younger generation. Her songs are like survival anthems for those dealing with mental health issues. We all have a Billie song that became the anthem to one of our life chapters, and there is a hidden beauty in that shared experience.
I was stunned by Billie's uniqueness when I first heard her. I mean, it was like mixing Lana Del Rey's haunting vocals with Lord's eccentric musical style, and then enveloping it with a blanket of raw teenage angst.
That's an apt description, Evelyn. To me, her music stood out like an unconventional, one-of-a-kind mic drop moment in the pop industry, really. I remember when Bad Guy played for the first time in the radio of my workspace at Volt Motors. It was kinda invigorating, you know?
Invigorating, huh? Maybe because her lyrics' raw honesty jolted you awake, Jiwoo?
Perhaps, and also her out-of-the-box anti-pop star persona intrigued me.
I can relate to that, Jiwoo. When I first discovered Ocean Eyes through a Spotify playlist while coding, it was an out-of-the-world experience for me too. The digital aesthetics in her music really struck a chord.
Shows her music isn't just about commiserating with teenage angst, right?
Exactly. In fact, her authenticity and bravery to tackle subjects like mental health, societal expectations, vulnerability and so on are truly noteworthy. It's not just a teenage rebellion anthem, but it dives deeper into the reality of our existence.
And as we engaged more with her artistry, we couldn't help but get mesmerized by her unique sound and lyrical depth even more. Kudos to her music for evoking such deep emotions in us.
Her whispery vocals feel like a ghost story sometimes, don't they?
Indeed, there's this eerie beauty in her vocal style. It's unique yet captivating.
And it perfectly matches with her experimental approach to songwriting. She's not afraid to distort sounds or incorporate eclectic elements in her songs. Nothing is off-limits in her musical world.
Exactly, she doesn't box herself in a specific genre. Instead, she lets the emotions and narratives of the song guide her, resulting in genre-bending tunes.
Right, like Bury a Friend. It's electronic, industrial, and pop elements all within a dark, horror-themed context. Such a gem. It's so different yet addictive.
Interesting how you brought up Bury a Friend, Jiwoo. Its use of synths, beats, and Eilish's hushed vocals are a testament to her willingness to experiment.
I must admit, her brave explorations in her songwriting have indeed revolutionized the pop industry. I've noticed that she uses her voice almost like an instrument, creating additional layers to harmonies. It's refreshing.
Not to mention her brooding lyrical themes that often collide with upbeat rhythms. This contrast is a recurring theme in her music, and it amplifies its uniqueness.
Absolutely. Remember You Should See Me in a Crown? Who else would create a hooky pop song around such a dark theme?
How could I forget? The subversion is what makes her stand out in the sea of predictable pop songs.
It's an incredible fusion of innovation, authenticity, and raw emotion. Each element works together to give us a sound that is unmistakably Billie Eilish.
It's fascinating how Billie's lyrics are somewhat abstract, right?
Yeah, it's as if you're trying to decipher a lyrical puzzle. It gives her music an edge.
True. And she leaves enough ambiguity for listeners to relate her lyrics with their own experiences.
Agreed. It speaks volumes for her maturity as an artist and her ability to resonate with listeners across different spectrums.
The lyrical depth she possesses at such a young age is truly remarkable.
And it's not just the lyrics, her musical decisions too. The chilling bass lines, the minimalist production. It creates this new sonic landscape.
Her disregard for uniformity, like how she lowers her voice to a whisper in a refrain or abruptly changing the rhythm, sets a new musical precedent.
You're right. And it's like each song is a rebellion, an intricate deconstruction of traditional pop.
It's incredible how she validates the listener's experiences through her vulnerability.
Her lyrics are not pedantic. They're rather relatable, and it's this simplistic realism that plunges listeners into her world.
So it's safe to say that she's defining a new normal for pop, isn't she?
Absolutely. I'm eager to see the impact of her music on future artists.
She's already inspiring them. The face of music is set for a massive revolution.
Indeed. The beauty of her music lies in how she resists fitting into predetermined molds, and that's a lesson for all aspiring artists out there. So let's talk about Eilish's portrayal of relationships in her songs. For instance, I Love You is heart-wrenching. You can feel her experience with heartbreak and the struggle to come to terms with her feelings. It's so relatable.
Heartbreak is indeed heavy in her lyrics, but I think what sets her apart is how she talks about mental health. Listen Before I Go is a chilling example. It really touched me at a personal level.
Absolutely. Her music does give a voice to these struggles. Besides, it's not just about the lyrics. It's also about how she uses her vocals, her music production. Every element magnifies the heaviness of what she's singing about. What do you think, Chris?
Mental health is definitely a recurring theme. and her stylistically moody music coupled with raw lyrics creates a safe space for listeners dealing with similar issues. Her honesty is both comforting and frightening.
Her songs like Bury a Friend also explore mortality, which is surprising for someone her age. She once mentioned in an interview that she likes to write songs from the perspectives of different people and situations. Remarkable, isn't it?
Remarkable indeed. Her songs contain a myriad of themes while staying true to her own experiences and feelings. Each song offers a unique insight into different facets of life and relationships.
And she does this all with parts mystery, parts clarity. She weaves tales lyrically, taking us on emotional roller coasters, all while keeping us hooked onto her music. It's interesting to see how Billie Eilish's persona is manifested in her lyrics. An insightful example of this is her song I Love You.
Yes, and it's amazing how her songs about love and heartbreak are so deeply intertwined with her own experiences and struggles.
That tells us that as much as she's a performer, she's also a storyteller. Her music does more than just entertain. It narrates her inner journey, making the fans feel a personal connection.
And it's not just about heartbreak or love. She addresses her struggles with fame, expectations, and her existential thoughts. Can you recall Ilamilo? That song is about the fear of losing someone, but also it subtly touches upon her anxieties as an artist.
Oh, I remember that one. Her lyrics are ambiguous yet relatable, which I believe stems from her own complexities. What intrigues me is how she delves into the concept of heartbreak. It's not your typical tearjerker. She hues it with emotions like shame, guilt, and a certain kind of mourning that's beyond her years.
Yes, she doesn't romanticize the matter, but exposes the raw and ugly sides of a breakup. It's like she's dissecting the emotion of heartbreak, giving us a revealing look into her evidently experienced soul. It's detailed, it's dreadful, yet it's so honest that you can't help but empathize.
And she does it without dramatizing or overdoing it, which allows listeners to find their own meanings in her lyrics. A real testament to her lyrical genius.
We've acknowledged Billie's artistic genius, her lyrical prowess, the depth of her music for sure. But taking a step back, what do you all think it is about her music that resonates so intensely with Gen Z?
Good question, Jiwoo. I think part of it is her rawness, her emotional authenticity. Especially in this day and age, it's becoming more and more important for artists to be upfront, authentic in expressing their feelings, and unafraid to explore dark topics. Billie does all of this, with an almost courageous vulnerability. Gen Z values authenticity, and they see that in Billie.
True, her music stands apart also because she directly talks about mental health issues, a topic that is increasingly getting the attention it always deserved. While there's still a big stigma associated with openly discussing mental health, seeing a highly successful artist like Billie address these issues really resonates with her young audience.
Spot on, Chris. I can't name many artists who encapsulate the emotional turbulence of teenage years like Billie. She's raising awareness of these issues, giving voice to those who often can't express themselves. This validation she provides through her music, her speeches, her interviews, it's incredibly comforting for her young fans.
Agreed. And it goes beyond her music. Her stance on body positivity and her refusal to adhere to established beauty standards, her outspokenness on climate change, all these issues resonate with the young crowd. She is sort of a youth icon who is not just a singer but also a role model for many,
Indeed, Billie's whole persona, her music, her style, her attitudes, embodies an authentic, offbeat individualism that the Gen Z audience craves to see. Her unapologetic originality, her refusal to fit into any pre-established molds, it's really encouraging for her fans, sending the message, it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah, and her relationship with her brother, Phineas, paints a beautiful picture of siblings growing and creating together. It highlights the importance of familial bond, admiration, and collaboration. That's something that's often undermined in the age of constant competition, don't you think? Speaking of authenticity in music, I've never seen an artist manage the balance between mainstream appeal and genuine creativity as well as Billie Eilish does.
True, Evelyn. So many artists seem to sacrifice their identity in the name of commercial success. But it's different with Billie, isn't it?
Definitely, Jiwoo. One thing that stands out in her music is that she doesn't shy away from pushing boundaries, experimenting with sounds and lyrics, while still creating songs that have mass appeal.
Absolutely, Chris. She walks that line between innovation and accessibility. Even her most successful tracks, with their chart-topping melodies, carry a kind of darkness and complexity in the lyrics, very uncommon in mainstream pop.
That's true. Even a song like Bad Guy, which is incredibly catchy, challenges standard pop conventions with its subversive lyrics. Billie's not afraid to showcase her creative instincts, even though she's exposing her vulnerable side.
Yeah, she embodies a kind of honesty that resonates with her fans. It's almost like each song is a page from her personal diary being shared with the world, rather than a carefully crafted product for consumer appeal.
Right, Chris. Being able to carry forth that level of authenticity while still engineering commercial hits is what sets her apart. It brings us back to why her music resonates so deeply with Gen Z.
Her dedication to authenticity in her music is arguably one of the biggest driving forces behind her immense popularity, don't you think?
Definitely, Jiwoo. It also goes to show that in today's music industry, authenticity and risk-taking are rewarding. Even traditionally safe pop music can benefit from some groundbreaking honesty.
So guys, let's talk about the hard truths reflected in Eilish's lyrics. Perhaps it's her boldness to confront societal stigmas head-on that gives her music its cutting edge?
From her bold commentary on mental health to the all-too-raw chronicles of heartbreak, Billie Eilish is unflinching in her lyrical honesty, revealing the personal experiences that shape her and her worldview.
I think you're onto something, Chris. The daring authenticity in her music, her unfiltered expressions of vulnerability, peel back layers of empathy for listeners. But it's more than just sharing her stories. She seems to invite us to confront our own vulnerabilities, too.
That's such an insightful perspective, Jiwoo. It reminds me of that heartfelt honesty in When the Party's Over, where Billie realistically portrays the despair of a disintegrated relationship. It's like she's channeling her own hurt to validate ours. But guys, do you think this can also be seen as a form of therapy?
That's a thought-provoking point, Evelyn. In a way, by honestly addressing personal experiences and societal stigmas, she's perhaps using her music as a cathartic outlet. Not just for her, but potentially for her listeners too who might be dealing with similar issues.
Billie has boldly leveraged her platform as an artist to address topics that are often swept under the carpet. Remember Bury a Friend? In it, she talks about dealing with her inner demons, impactful and compelling.
Absolutely, Jiwoo. The question is, does this uncommon veracity in some ways contribute to her meteoric rise in the music industry? Such a fascinating food for thought. Guys, hailing back to our conversation, the authenticity in Eilish's lyrics is undeniably her signature. The ability to lay bare raw emotions and confront societal taboos head-on is something unique to Eilish.
Yes, Evelyn. As we mentioned, her lyrical choices, genre defiance, and abstract songwriting have not only struck a chord with Gen Z, but have also sparked a musical revolution. She doesn't shy away from tackling dark themes, which is somewhat innovative. It's like she's carved a whole new sonic landscape.
Her courage to expose vulnerabilities, Chris, is a doorway inviting us to confront our own. In her lyrics, we see reflections of our own anxieties, heartbreaks, and demons. Like classic literature that dares to bear, Billie opens a dialogue on topics many choose to sweep under the carpet.
Jiwoo, your point reemphasizes the mass appeal of her music. It's not only about how she opens up through her music, but also how she empathizes, listens, and speaks about problems affecting an entire generation. She's truly a beacon for this new era.
Speaking of her broad impact, we've seen her use of digital and synthetic sounds in her tracks mint an entire new wave in the music industry. It's definitely disruptive, but it's also incredibly exciting. I can't wait to see where she takes her music next.
Exactly, Chris. Despite being so young, she's already had a significant influence. With authenticity as her cornerstone, I believe we can anticipate an exciting evolution of Billie Eilish's musical journey.